You can't forget your mask if it's on your head. Hi! Thank you so much for tuning back in for the Q&A part of our first week of our video series. I'm so excited to dive into some of the questions you asked. There's some really fun ones in there, some goofy ones in there, some great ones. But I did just want to make a note that next Tuesday's video is going to be on goal setting and platform selection. I'm really excited to talk about the criteria of how you can determine what social media platforms you should actually be on, and to talk about just setting goals. I know goal setting is setting your goals. That is pretty sophisticated advice, so you're welcome. I want to just dive right into the questions here. So the first question was about automating your posts, and is there a way to set up notifications that your post actually got published, and how much can you trust the platforms? I don't blame you for your skepticism. I had some issues with Hootsuite around this. They all seem to be resolved, thankfully, but there is a way. You can ask to, not like ask the platform, but in your settings, you can set it to send you an email for anytime that your post publishes. You just get an email about it. I would not recommend completely setting it and forgetting it. I know that kind of feels like it defeats the purpose of being able to automate them if you have to go back and check on them anyway, but I think it's a bad idea to just kind of leave your post out there and not, at least within like the first half hour, check back and see what your engagement was. So definitely automate so that you don't have to think about it. But when you do get that notification, be sure to go and check in on whatever interactions you got, because you don't want to miss anything. If there's a question, you don't want to be like a slow responder. It's just the worst thing you could be. Or, if someone in your industry retweets it, or you just want to have an eye on who's responding to your post and how they're responding to your post. So short answer is yes, you can set it up to email you when your post is actually published. So if you're like in a meeting or something, you can know that it at least went through. But I wouldn't completely ignore it. And I think it's more important to be able to set it up around times that you feel like you will be able to manage social media than to make sure it's like posting at the exact minute that is recommended by Hootsuite or TweetDeck or any of those. Make sure it's something that is workable with your schedule before you worry about like appropriate times. That might not be the most popular advice, because people will talk to you about algorithms and all sorts of stuff, but I think it's a way bigger crime to not be able to monitor your interactions than it is to post around the perfect exact time to disrupt an algorithm. You do you, is basically what I'm saying. The next question was about my dog Buster and whether he will be making appearances in any videos. I can't imagine he won't be, because we already heard his vocal debut in the last one, and I don't really have control over when he pops into videos or not. That's pretty much all him. He definitely runs the house. I wish I could say otherwise, but that dog is in charge of my heart and my social media content. Get a dog to run your social media is really what the whole net of the series is. I'm sure Buster will be making an appearance. He's the best, greatest dog in the whole wide world, and nobody can tell me otherwise. At worst, he's tied for first with every other dog in the world, so he's the best. The third question was about time zones, and specifically what to do if you are a national brand and you have content that caters to audiences that are there and the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans, Pacific and Eastern time zones. So I always say when you're starting to split the difference and then let analytics guide you from there. So if you are trying to split the difference, do like 4 o'clock California time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and see what that looks like. And then you can kind of scooch it around based on the feedback that you get. So if you feel like you're getting more engagement from the West Coast, we'll make it comply with their time a little bit better. And that's something that those platforms that we talked about, those scheduling platforms, will take into account for you as you go on. So it'll kind of get to know you. It's a personalized relationship with those platforms. It's pretty great. The next question was about my home office. They just asked where I was filming because they kind of dug my vibe, which I appreciate. I just have, whoops. Yep, I know how to work a cell phone camera. I'm not a boomer. This quote by Picasso, which I love, that the meaning of your life is to find your gift and the purpose of that life is to give it away. He didn't say give it away for free. He just said give it away. So don't feel like if you have your purpose, you have to just give it away for no money. I'm trying to make a living over here. And then this, I changed the quotes on this little like felt magnet boardy type looking thing. But it says right now, if you believed in Santa for a decade, you can believe in yourself for like 8 seconds, which I think is fair. And then I have a Beatles album on because that's just some good day work vibes. And then a bunch of books about baseball, which is not surprising to anybody that knows me. If you don't know me, I'm a huge baseball gal and I inherited all these amazing books from my grandfather. So I can't wait to read them, as well as a lot of Stan Kenton records, which will be on that eventually. It's actually really important to make sure that your home office is something that you jive with and to set boundaries about your work from home balance, which is a constant struggle for me. But maybe we'll do a video on that. Some people have asked to expand beyond social media for this series into more general marketing based and public relations things. So once we get through the social media stuff, maybe we will venture into things like that. That could be super fun. And I think we had one more question. I hate to be this person. I'm checking my notes. I thought I had it memorized. I do not, unfortunately. Oh, the next question was, do you want to post across all platforms at the same time, or do you want to vary your post times for each outlet? So basically, do I want to post on Facebook and Twitter at the same time, or do I want to stagger my times? We are definitely going to get into this in the next video. It's a great question. You do want to stagger them at different times because you should be posting different types of content on those platforms. We are going to talk about that at length in the next video, about how one picture can be a visually based thing on Instagram with a quick caption, and on Facebook you could use that same picture and tell a whole story about it. And on Twitter, you can use that picture to spark a question and try and get a conversation going. So we are going to talk way more in depth about that. But basically, every platform needs to be treated separately, because otherwise, why am I going to follow you on all these things, right? Like if I'm just getting the same content. Everybody's guilty of it. I run social media and I'm guilty of it. I try to differentiate it as much as possible, but it's so much easier. And that's not an evergreen statement. There's definitely some things that can be pretty much consistent across the board, but in general, if you want someone to follow you on different platforms, you have to be providing them with different stuff. Otherwise, why? It's just really repetitive. So we are going to get into that way more. But generally, you want to stagger the times that you're rolling it out, because you should be posting different types of content across all of those platforms. So, but a great question. And I think that wraps it up. We're under 10 minutes. That's the goal. I talk fast. I'm an East Coaster. It works. So thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to chatting at you again on Tuesday to talk about goal setting and platform selection. Really important topic. And then we're getting into more strategic stuff, really nitty gritty the week after that. So looking forward to it. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for all of your support from the first go around. It's very interesting. We had more support and engagement on platforms that I didn't expect than on other ones. So I'm very excited to continue this, and I can use it as its own case study for social media. It's pretty cool. I will talk to you again on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.